And this is a CBC Alumni Focus. I am Rob Stagenborg, the Alumni Director, and again, very pleased, very honored to have with my next guest, my good friend, Adam Mason. Adam is a year 2000 grad, and he is actually president of Gershman Mortgage here in town. Adam, great to see you. Great to catch up with you.
Rob, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks for the invite. It's good to see
Good
you.
deal. So, first of all, the first question asked is, what have you been up to since you walked across the stage?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
It's been 21 years. So quite a lot. College, law school, marriage, 3 kids, career.
Wow. Well, let's start with the college. I mean, where'd you end up going to college? And I know you played baseball here at CBC. Did you play baseball in college a little bit?
Yes, I did. Yeah, all 4 years. I went to Quincy
That's
University.
right.
Yeah. And was fortunate to go there and play Division II baseball. Really enjoyed it.
Good deal. And then you went into right after college, you went to law school.
Actually, I had a little break between undergrad and law school. I worked for the May Company, and I worked at a ski resort as well. I took some personal time after undergrad to really just kind of get some experience and see the world a little bit. And I started law school about 2 years after I graduated undergrad.
Well, that's great, outstanding. So you still miss playing ball a little bit? I mean, did you still play recreationally at all, or probably not?
That's a good question. I get that question a lot. I'm sure a lot of the other former, especially baseball players, get that. I don't really, the thing I miss most about baseball is really just the camaraderie, the being on the bus together, in the dugout, traveling together. Other than that, I don't really miss it a whole lot. So much of my life, early part of my life, was devoted to baseball. And when I was finished my senior year, I was 23, almost 23 years old. And I kind of had enough. It was a great run, and I still love baseball. My son plays baseball. I coach my son's team. He's 8. But I personally, I don't miss playing at all. All my attention and competitive drive, I guess you could say, has been poured into golf for the last 15 years or so.
Good. I'm sure the golf is one of those games that you can never get good enough. So again, we're getting ready to do our alumni tournament here, and again, golf, obviously. So where are you shooting these days? What's your game look like?
The game's pretty sharp, actually. I'm fortunate to get out and play a decent amount. I'm shooting in the 70s pretty consistently, but it's really, the competitive aspect of golf is great. It's kind of you against the course, you against yourself. But I just like getting out with family or friends, or play a lot of work golf as well. It's a great way to get to know people and to just be outside and enjoy a nice day.
Well, coming back to your CBC experience, I mean, who were some of the people who stood out to you? Obviously, the coaches, because you played sports, but obviously outside of coaching, obviously you go to law school, so there had to be some people, some non-coaches who had some impact on your life. And who are some of the teachers that you kind of you like to talk about?
Yeah, it's interesting to think about that question because of the time that's passed. Really, the 21 years that it's been since I graduated from CBC. And I think the perspective changes over time as the further out I get from, and probably all alums they get from graduating. I really remember like more big picture things than specific stories, or I think there are too many memories to name on particular teachers, but I certainly remember, Mr. Barr, Ray Barr, certainly made an impression on every student that came into CBC. So even 21 years later, I could still hear his voice and see his glare. And all, certainly looking back 21 years later, it's a positive thing. Mr. Barr was instilled discipline and really was a great, really nice guy if you were doing things the right way. So he kind of stands out. So Brother Dan, certainly in the in the resource center. I forget what they called it at the old CBC. Brother Dan was about as patient, probably the most patient, kind man that I've ever known. Really made an impression on me. Still 21 years later, and gosh, Rob, there are so many others. I'm fortunate for all the memories I have at CBC, and it's kind of hard to. They're all kind of flooding back to me now, but.
And that's a tough question for me to ask because, again, like I said, you've had an entire life outside of CBC, and it's tough to but some people really say they're specific teachers who have given them life lessons or given them some things to move on. But again, certainly just hearing Ray Bars barking in the hallway is enough to scare you to do right. So again, transitioning into your professional life again, now you're with Gershman Mortgage. You guys are certainly a huge company here in the area. You've have had roots in St. Louis, have helped a lot of people out, getting their mortgages. Talk about your role with the company right now and how are things going in the post-pandemic.
So I'm the president at Gershman Mortgage. I've been with the company 11 years. I started out as the in-house counsel. We kind of touched on it. I went to law school. So I was in-house counsel, the general counsel, lead attorney for the company. And then about 6 years ago, I transitioned into more of a business role outside of the legal aspect of it, and was the chief operating officer for a few years, about 2.5 years, and I've been the president for coming up on 3. I'm really fortunate, blessed to work for such a great company with the Gershman family still owns Gershman Mortgage and has since 1955. Really a St. Louis institution. So it's a pleasure to work for such a good family with a good family name and a company with such a strong name, not only in St. Louis, but a lot of the markets we're in. So I'm the president of Gershman Mortgage. We have close to 350 employees with 32 branch locations, primarily throughout the Midwest. And post-pandemic, or over the last year, I guess it's been since the pandemic started to take an effect on all of our lives, personal and professional. Our company we adapted very quickly to the new environment. We had close to 90% of our workforce working in an office in a branch or our corporate office where I am today, to overnight, mid to late March, 100% of our employees were working virtually. So it was a tremendous transition from being in an office to taking your entire workforce, 300 plus people, to working from home. And we adapted very quickly to that environment. The mortgage business was extremely busy last spring, really for the last 12 months. Interest rates have been favorable and people are looking to move out of apartment complexes generally and looking for a home, more space. But our company, we transitioned very well. We've been operating very strongly over the last year, and actually 2020 was a record year for our long and distinguished company. So the transition was seamless.
Yeah, I guess you have to be very has to make you feel good to be able to provide homes to people, maybe sometimes first-time home buyers are walking in, don't really know anything about that process, and to be able to have a local company that kind of knows the community, to be able to be part of that has to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what sets Gershman Mortgage apart from a lot of our competitors and certainly the really large national companies. At Gershman Mortgage, our customers are, we're providing keys to a house to our customers. We know our customers. We know our employees who are working directly with the customers. Our employees and our customers aren't a number like a lot of the much bigger companies. And so we get a lot of satisfaction out of providing people the dream of home ownership or saving them money through a refinance. A lot of it is tied to the fact that we're a relationship-based business. That's our business model. And a lot of our locations, our branch locations, are located within the communities that we get most of our business from. So our employees live in the community. They're giving back to the community. They're part of the school, sports teams, et cetera. So yeah, it's a real emotional experience for somebody to buy their first home, particularly. And for almost all people, it's their biggest investment. And so having a company that really cares about the transaction and the customer experience helps. And we get a lot of satisfaction out of
And I
it.
would suppose in your line of work, it's not the first mortgage. Sometimes it's those second and third mortgage people coming back to you because they've enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, it's funny, that jogs a story. So I started at Gershman Mortgage about 11 years ago, and prior to starting, my wife's grandparents, we were talking about where I was working, and my wife's grandparents got their first loan after the Korean. My wife's grandpa got it after the Korean War, so mid to late 50s. They bought their first house, started their life together, and so we're talking 60 years later, approximately, when I was starting, and they had these fond memories like it was yesterday of Gershman Mortgage. 2 generations from my wife and I. It really gave me a really strong impression before I even started with the company, of the generations that have used our company for a mortgage, and really to establish memories in their life at their house. So yeah, it's a cool thing to be part of a company that's been around for as long as we have.
Again, folks, we're talking with Adam Mason. He's a 2000 grad, and he's the president of Gershman Mortgage here in town. We got a couple more questions for you, Adam. So,
Sure.
People hear, consumers hear so much about the mortgage business through radio ads, TV ads. It gets very confusing, and the rates are always great, and it's always a good time. How do we temper some of that? How do we kind of sift through some of that stuff as someone in the business? I mean, it's a tough one.
I have to watch what I say here. Some people, you'll hear them on the radio. Rates are always the best and the historically low. It seems like some companies have been saying that for years. Over the last year, they did reach a bottom. Unbelievably low interest rates, down into the 2s. There are people that work at Gershman Mortgage, and I'm sure a lot of the alums will remember the 80s when interest rates were in the teens. So we really did have truly historically low interest rates over the course of the last year. But to drown out the noise, it's really about finding a company that you know and trust, a loan officer that can work with you, who you know and trust, and will guide you through the process. So finding somebody who's family, friend, who can refer you to a good company to really get the best service. We're all pretty much offering the same interest rates, but it's really more of a service transaction that people just need to find a company that they're comfortable with, and we'll deliver for them.
One thing I tend to hear a lot is when people move into their first home, they say, "Wow, why did I wait this long? I've wasted all this money on rent and what have you." So, maybe just a word of encouragement to have people just check it out if they're in a situation where they're looking to move. There's no hurt in checking it out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no hurt. There's no cost. It's good as far as an overall financial plan for a younger individual to speak with a mortgage professional to figure out how much they can afford, or how much do they want to, what type of house do they want to buy, how much would they have to save up for it, and what would a younger home buyer need to do to improve their credit, or to maintain a strong existing credit. So it certainly doesn't hurt to speak with someone about it.
Sure, and starting early really saves you a lot of headaches. That while you're closing, you're trying to pull together paperwork and what have you. So to be able to start early is very, obviously very key. Real quick, just want to give you a chance to say hello to anybody in the class of 2000. You still see guys? You still hang out with guys?
Yeah, I still see a few guys, and have such fond memories of relationships I developed over the course of my 4 years at CBC. And I think that's really one of the strongest memories I have, is the relationships I developed with guys in my class and guys older and younger. It really was a great building block for the next steps of my academic and athletic career. And then, entering into my adult life. The examples I got from our teachers, and really the relationships I developed helped mold me into the person I am today. So I'm very grateful for what CBC gave me during my 4 years in the late 90s, 2000. So I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, Rob. It's a pleasure to join you and see your face and talk about CBC a little bit.
Well, I could do that a lot. Now, I know you only have a limited time. I got 8 hours to do it, but again, it's a great, again, I graduated in the 80s, you graduated in 2000s. We have kids graduating in 2020. So there's definitely some common tapestry that goes through all the years. So the brotherhood and the loyalty. So again, we want to thank you for your time and wish you best of luck. Again, we'll check in with you again, see how things are going. Who knows, we might put the whole campus on mortgage. You might need to call you or something. You never know.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm easily accessible, and Rob, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for the invite. It was good to see you.
Okay, sounds good. I'll put you on pause, and we'll close out. This is Alumni Focus with Adam Mason. Again, we'll catch you up with next time.